Hello, everyone. Today, I'd like to present a tutorial on blood clots 101, the basics of blood clots. And included in this will be how the average person should know, what the average person should know about blood clots, how they determine if he or she is at risk of blood clots. And it'll be important to network with the family and do an assessment together using a patient-friendly form, and then taking it to your doctors to put that information in the medical record before illness or injury occurs, so that when that happens, there's already something there. Especially if it's an emergency, it's very hard to collect all of these data, especially at that time, that this information is in the record and can help to protect you and maybe save your life. Now, I would like to share with you some information regarding the number one preventable cause of death after surgery or hospitalization, which are fatal pulmonary emboli. And I would like to show a short video that will help to discuss this. Up until a few years ago, the forgotten illness was deep vein thrombosis and pulmonary emboli. Deep vein thrombosis, blood clots in the leg. Pulmonary emboli, blood clots that can break off from the leg and go to the lungs and cause serious or fatal blood clots. Now, up to that time, people hadn't paid much attention to that. But now these days, we have scoring systems, including the Caprini score, that look at the various risk factors for blood clots that a patient may have, and based on that number of risk factors, calculate what their chance of getting a blood clot is. Now, many doctors, even these days, don't really pay much attention to that because in their practice they would say, well, now, doctor, I've never seen a blood clot in my practice. But yet, when you look at the statistics, we find that in people who have Caprini scores and didn't get prophylaxis after surgery, they have a very high incidence in some cases of developing a blood clot. In plastic surgery, for example, if your Caprini score is 9, then your chance of developing a blood clot at 60 days is 11%. Well, that's astonishing. And I'd just like the audience to know, pay very careful attention to the scores. Use the Caprini score or use some other score that's equivalent in order to determine what your risks really are. And if you're not getting good answers from your doctors, by all means, get a second opinion. And now I'd like to talk about what is the Caprini score. Well, it's a thorough history and physical that enables one to determine which patient will benefit from blood thinners, because you can't just give blood thinners to everyone. So I'd like to show a video here with a little more information regarding the Caprini score. These days, we have all sorts of technological tools. We have MRIs, we have CAT scans, we've got all these different blood tests. What is really the forgotten art is the history and physical. And the Caprini score is nothing more than a good history and physical, where all the risk factors for blood clots are enumerated and then put together in a score to determine what the patient needs for protection for them to be safe and not suffer a fatal blood clot. The Caprini score ideally should be first collected by the patient. When you go to the dentist, you have to fill in your health history. Why not when you go to your surgeon? Following that, then you go to the hospital and that form can be checked, certain items can be checked, and then that can be the initial score. But it's not the end of the road. The Caprini score is dynamic. And as the hospitalization goes along, people oftentimes, unfortunately, develop infection, they need central lines, they get pneumonia, they have to be reoperated. All of those things increase the risk of blood clots. So then by the time you go home, there should be a final tally. And that final tally then used to calculate whether or not you need ongoing anticoagulants for your protection for blood clots, especially during the first month after surgery.
Have you ever wondered how likely am I to get VTE? I'll bet you haven't, and that's a problem. Venous thromboembolism, also referred to as VTE, is a condition where a blood clot forms in one's blood vessels, such as in the lungs or the legs. This can be fatal, especially if the clot reaches the lungs or another major organ. Such blood clots affect roughly 900,000 Americans annually and kill between 60,000 and 100,000 Americans each year. Yet, most people do not know about VTE. We do not know about its dangers. We do not know how likely we are to get it. And that's where the Caprini score comes in. The Caprini score is a risk assessment tool for VTE. It's basically just a list of risk factors combined with the strength of each factor to produce a score. As the score increases, so does the incidence of someone getting a blood clot. You just have to check off the risk factors that apply to you and add up all your points at the end. The risk factors include age, surgeries, family history, and more. Once you total up your points, you can see your risk. The higher your score, the greater your risk of VTE. This risk assessment is extremely helpful in preventing blood clots. The Caprini score was developed in conjunction with other physicians, scientists, and nurses from around the world. Dr. Caprini recommends everyone take the assessment. That includes you. Don't worry though, the Caprini score is available online for free. Take it now to determine your risk for VTE. Just go to www.caprini.com www.capriniriskScore.org. Once completed, please share your score with your personal physician, and then it can be put into your personal record as a baseline score. This will be helpful if you need a surgical operation, are involved in an accident, or need emergency hospital admission. If and when these events occur, you may need to be started on preventative measures, including blood thinners. Regardless of your baseline risk, it is important to exercise, eat properly, and stay active to prevent VTE. And make sure that you take the risk assessment test. You can go to Dr. Caprini's website, www.capriniriskScore.org. The website contains other information regarding blood clots. You can download and print your score for your personal record as well. Be sure to check out his YouTube channel, Caprini Venous Resource Center. You will find many videos discussing risk assessment and blood clots. To repeat, we urge everyone to take the Caprini score together with their families and share that information with their personal physician. Know your Caprini score and save a life.